Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to another fabulous episode of Stories Around Azeroth. As always, I am Pete Titanscreed Nethercoat, joined by the picturesque gnome this side of Gnomeregan, because he's in the moor and he's gone swimming and fishing and with a really bad hat. It's Mr. Frazley TC. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, and I've learned that physics work inside of Alpha, so I'm testing it out to see if everything's good. I mean,
Physics.
Death clearly works, and there's a lot of things to watch out for.
Right.
Oh my.
I'm sure we'll talk about that in a little bit because I've got no clue what you're talking about. And it's once again an honor and a privilege to be joined by a guest today. We are joined by Nisey from WoW Challenges. How are you doing, darling?
Hello. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, absolutely.
You having a good time?
Yeah.
I know I've left you to talk to Frazley for 5 minutes, and that's always forbearing. So
Oh, he's okay.
he has his moments. He's a lovely gentleman, that Frazley-tastic. But yes, we are here to talk about Warcraft and all that good stuff and various bits and pieces itself. And I'm worried about my hair today because, I'm worried. Ugh, horrible. But yes, as we do, we normally talk about what we've done in the world of Warcraft this week. Nisey, why don't you start with telling us what you've been up to this week?
Oh, okay. Well, I basically live in WoW Challenges world, so I've been working on challengers. I've got about 6 that I'm consistently running right now, and so I've been working on them. 5 Bloodthirsties and an Iron. And I've also been doing a little bit of work on a normal character. I finally got my Mechanomes unlocked. So that was quite an endeavor, I will say. Didn't realize I had to do a dungeon. And I was not happy when I saw I had to do a dungeon. And but the husband stepped up and did the dungeon for me. So
It's all good.
So he had nothing better to do, so he got that done. And so I've been working on leveling that one and a lot of fishing because I've been needing cash in game recently.
Yeah. So for those people that don't know what WoW Challenges is, they might have only just heard about it or they're not very familiar with it. Why don't you explain to people what WoW Challenges is?
Okay, so basically WoW Challenges is the home, well, the new home or the now home of the Iron Man Challenge. Stone ended up taking over the Iron Man Challenge from its original form. I think back in Cata, was it? It was starting to die out. The website domain came up for purchase, and he ended up grabbing it because the original person kind of faded from taking care of it. So he took over and was maintaining it and adapting the rules for each expansion that came through. And from there, other challenges evolved, like the Bloodthirsty Challenge and the Pacifist Challenge and the many other iterations we have as well. There's several. I think it's...
There are loads. There are
it's
quite a few.
Iron Bloodthirsty Pacifist, Working Man, Green Man, Tin Man, Iron Teams, Bloodthirsty Teams, and Green Teams. I think that's everybody. Quite a handful over there.
Okay, so I mean, you've mentioned that you do quite a few. So I presume you don't restrict yourself to one character at a time. You level multiple at one time.
Well, I mostly do the Bloodthirsty Challenge, so that's a lot of grinding. You have to grind to max level. So very few quests involved. There's some races or classes that can do a little bit of questing just to get out of the starting zone, and there's a couple of quests allowed between expansion jumps to get from one to the other. You don't need to do them so much now as you did before, but since you're constantly killing, it really helps to have the rested XP. So, because less mobs you have to kill.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm with you.
So it's tough to do that when you're focused on one, because then you're constantly without rested, or you get 3 bars of rested when you log in, and away it goes. Real quick. So I rotate through several, and lately I've been streaming the dinging portion of the level for about 5 different Bloodthirsties lately. I used to run all of the ones I had currently, and then BFA happened and combat got a lot slower.
Yes.
So I had to cut that list down, way down. So I have more than the 5 that I'm running for the Bloodthirsty Challenge. I just haven't touched them lately because I just haven't had time. But they are still there.
Obviously, you have a lot of fun with it because otherwise you wouldn't keep doing it. Have you done one of every challenge that's available, or do you just mostly stick to the bloodthirsties?
I've done a few irons. I think the highest iron I got was 85. So died to an unfortunate quest mob that did something I wasn't expecting. Learned not to do that quest again. Don't do that one again. It looks innocent enough, but one of the mobs involved for it packs a punch, and I was dead in 3 hits. I couldn't even figure out what happened. So I've done the iron. I do bloodthirsty mostly. I've done pacifist. I do have a pacifist. They're sitting at level 98. I kind of only bring her out now for holidays because the things I can do are kind of scary. Like, you can't go into current zones to mine. Or pick flowers because there's a chance of a nasty popping up and fighting you and you can't kill it. And if somebody gets the idea to help you, then you're going to get the credit for the kill. So it's like, no, can't do that. She can do vanilla archaeology, but a lot of my dig sites are in undesirable locations. So I'm like, yeah, no, I'll just stick to holidays for now.
Then. Like, not Zul'Gurub, oh my god, Stranglethorn. Stranglethorn's the worst.
Yeah, Stranglethorn is terrible because the trolls keep padding back and forth. I've got one in Feralis, and I need to pick up 1 or 2 more pieces for the dig site to be finished, and there's an ogre standing right on top of where I need to do the last survey. And I'm like, really? And I cannot get close enough because he's standing right where it's going to pop up, and I'm like, okay. It's like, buddy, you need to go away. So I mean, I've done
leave now.
I've done tin. I don't have a current tin, but I have done it.
Which one's tin?
Tin, you can die. Tin is allows deaths. That's the only challenge that does allow it. Every other challenge, you die, you're done. And I've tried to get into Green Man. I just can't. It just doesn't pull me in. I don't know. I think it's because I'm questing and in full greens. I mean, you don't have to be in full greens. You have to have at least 1 green equipped for that challenge. But it just doesn't feel right to me. I just can't do it. I haven't tried Working Man. Working Man's basically pacifist, but so it's pacifist and iron combined, basically. So you can quest and kill, but you can also have your professions. And I just haven't gotten there yet. Haven't had the time. I do have an iron team. That's dormant at the moment because my partner was Zortz and he took a break from WoW for a while, and we were talking about getting the team going again. That kind of stopped happening. He's on the fence about getting Shadowlands, so I think I want to wait to start that up until he figures out if he does want to get it, because we just don't have enough time to get there if he doesn't. And if he doesn't get it, then we'll be stuck at 50, and I'm like, let's wait and see if he's gonna get it. I do have a blood team that I was dual boxing, and
Jesus,
that was happening until I ran out of gold to keep the husband's account going.
The husband, no, I can understand.
Yeah, the husband was gonna play with me, and he's like, "How the hell do you do this?" And I was like, "What?" He's like, "I can't do this." He goes, "What is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You're just sitting here killing stuff." I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "For hours." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "No." And I was like, "Well, we could try iron." And I said, "That we can quest." And he's like, "Okay." We got to level 10. He goes, "No, I can't do this." So
different strokes for different folks. Really.
Yeah, so I was like, "Well, okay, well, let me use your account then, and I'll just do the blood team myself." I got to 40. Maybe, no, 41, I think. And then I just didn't have enough gold to put into my account and his account. So I'm just like, yeah, okay. So that one's just kind of been sitting there. I'll probably restart it if he gets Shadowlands for his account when that comes out. If I have the in-game gold to keep them both going. But
you had a favorite class that you've liked to have done the challenges on?
Priest is my go-to. I don't know why, because it's one of the more punishing ones. But
especially now.
Yeah, you're squishy. The bubble for discipline doesn't do much. You take like 2 hits and it's poof, gone. And that stupid weakened soul debuff that they brought back, and they didn't adjust the bubble to make up for the buff being back, or the debuff being back. So I'm constantly fighting and trying to bubble myself, and it's like invalid target, and I'm like, oh, because the debuff's still there. But I'd say probably Priest then Shaman. And Discipline Priest would be my go-to, and then Resto Shaman. Because you get that lovely instant proc on Lava Burst.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool to hear. Mr. Frazley,
Yes.
you've been up to a fair amount this week, haven't you?
Oh yeah. Between alpha and leveling my dwarf priest, I've been doing quite a bit this past week.
Yeah, so, I mean, Revendreth's opened up on the alpha. Without spoiling too much, for those of us not in the alpha yet.
I know.
I know. How about you talk to us about how Revendreth feels?
It feels really good. I love the feel of the zone. Like you can tell that it's an early look because like there's no music and stuff like that, so it's missing a few things. But already love where it is. Another cool thing they added this week that they now will show you the quest log as you're going through and be like, here's the story so far in your area. So they're doing a lot of quality of life improvements, and I'm going to really enjoy it. I think my covenant's definitely going to be Revendreth on Frazley because I know I'm not the positive happy gnome, but I want like the werewolf and like the like the just like the grunge, and it's so far been my favorite of the two zones that they've been, and it's kind of my favorite of the different covenants that they've unleashed.
Well, that's gonna suck for you since it's the last leveling zone in Shadowlands. So...
Oh yes.
But you were saying that this is probably going to be your covenant as well, didn't you?
Yeah, because it I don't know why, but I love the atmosphere of it. It feels like Forsaken, but less like blighted.
Those shoulders are going to be bigger than your entire gnome. You realise that?
Yes.
Christ on a bike. But yeah, you've enjoyed it?
Oh, 100%. And like, I still have not finished the storyline because I finished the Bastion storyline. And what I'm finding is all of the initial quests are, unlike BFA where you kind of finished a storyline, as of right now, they're shorter than the different zones in BFA. But what I understand is we're then going to figure out our covenant, and then we're going to get a even larger storyline once we decide on it. And that storyline, I think, is going to be encompassing Shadowlands. So as of right now, we may have to play Shadowlands 4 times to see the story from 4 different ways.
Oh yeah, no, I'm expecting that, and I'm expecting there to be an achievement to it, similar to the Classals. I mean, the Classals had a time-gated story once you hit max level anyway.
Yeah.
So it really wouldn't surprise me if the Covenant story will be time-gated over several weeks, at least until where the raid opens up.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's going to be mission tables apparently in Shadowlands as well. So blah blah blah. But you said you've also been healing, haven't you?
Yes.
This week?
Because I have not healed since vanilla back when I was in Molten Core, and I decided with this XP boost, I wanted to finally get my dwarf priest, who has not been touched other than maybe logging in for once or twice since classic. Oh, vanilla. I basically classic nowadays, but the OG vanilla, so I can have that streak cred. But I've been enjoying it, and I'm so glad that there's things like voodoo. Like I know people are talking me about heal bots and stuff like that, but I'm doing voodoo, working on my macros, working on how it's going. And I will say, I think, you know how the sins of the DPS are visited upon all the healers to the 16th generation? Every single sin I ever did as DPS is being visited upon me now, where like someone's not line of sight of me, so I can't heal them. We move too fast, and just like, I even had somebody yell at me because they pulled 2 big mobs in Hall of Lightning and said, "What? No heals?" I'm like, I was healing you the entire time, and then they left before I could say anything. So I mean, it's
rough to be a healer out there right now. It really is.
Oh yeah, and like, there was one room in old Utgard Pinnacle where they said you should pull one of the mob packs and not both of them, and the tank's like, screw that, I'm gonna pull both. I'm like, you were just told by 3 people in this group to only pull one of the mobs and line of sight it, and it's just like,
you just line of sight. You've never watched me tank a dungeon, have you, Frazley? Like, you the next time I level a warrior, I'll level it as protection again, and I'll stream it just so you can see how I tank.
That sounds good.
I'm an absolute animal. Like, the minute I get heroic leap, I'm jumping, I'm charging, slamming, shield slam, and everything else. Like, I'm an absolute animal. It's a disgrace. but I stay alive. I don't die. So
Because of the healers, probably.
no, because I ignore pain, and then I just like because for some reason ignore pain is still disgracefully broken, and overpowered, and all of that fine
And-
madness and everything else.
I've got a real-time follow-up real quick. Don't tell Zorts. I'm going to see how fast until I get a what the heck, Frazley? I just gifted him a copy of Shadowlands, the basic. So
Oh, wow.
I want to see how long it is. He has been he has been a great supporter of me over the years and is a great friend. So I want to hear his response.
What the heck? What the heck?
I think you will hear it from Indiana outside when you stick your head outside your house. He's going to be screaming at you.
Well, there you go.
He has been there since the beginning of my whole journey and all that. So I figured, hey, he is a good goblin and all that. So I just
Well, there
All
you go.
caps on Twitter. Frazley!
Guess he hasn't got a choice to play then, has he? So there we go.
Yeah.
that's exactly see.
There you go. Just make sure that you record it on webcam or on like your phone camera, and then just upload it and go at Frazley-tastic.
Yes.
I haven't been up too much this week. I haven't streamed anything in the last week. I've needed kind of like a down week and a disconnect week and everything else. So there's been no content I could put on the screen for you guys. But I've literally just been working on my goals of still mount farming continuously as they go. Had some luck with some mounts. Abusing the absolute living hell out of the rep buff, and I've been down in Legion getting the Paragon boxes from my mounts. I've had one of the mounts from the Army of the Light so far, which has been good. None of the other ones want to drop, but like getting 700 rep from a blue elite world quest for the faction is pretty decent. I'll take it. And then just working on my personal goal of getting many of my 19 alts up to item level 445 gear ready for Shadowlands. And that's about it. I think I've got 3 characters now to Heart of Azeroth 80 because it's so easy these
You're
days.
an animal.
Frazley, I'm not sure about you, but on the EU, the past 5 days, we've had 3k Azerite, 3k Azerite, 200 war resources, 3k Azerite, and today's 2,000 gold.
I haven't looked at World Quest because I've just again been back in.
Just do the emissaries, my dude. That's it. Just do the emissaries. Like, I really should be doing more world quests to farm the Paragon boxes because it's easy money, but it's a lot of work and I can't be bothered. I really can't be bothered. If I could, but yeah, no, I've gone through all of my mount farming and just doing that on alts as well. I went and did if you caught me on Twitter, you would have seen that I did the world boss in Vol'dun yesterday. I took 8 of my 19 alts, was completely willing to take 19 alts there to go get the alpaca, and it dropped on number 8. So,
Oh my god.
look, Mount Farmer's got to take this life seriously.
I used to mount farm. I did, but then I started hitting the wall of the great disappointment, and I couldn't take it anymore, and I had to take a break, and I just haven't had the time to get back to it.
The wall of great disappointment is what Frazley challenges me to do.
Yes.
So there was a stream a couple of weeks back where I took 18 characters, which was my max at the time, through Dragon Soul to Ultraxion. That's a wall of disappointment. And in June, I believe the stream on my birthday is going to be 19 full runs through Blackrock Foundry.
Oh my god, that's gonna take a while.
It's half an hour a run, so it's about 9.5 hours.
Oh my god.
So I'm either going to end up with the head on the table about then, but
See, I'm the reason Pete's gonna have great hair by the time he's.
I've already got grey hair.
Oh, okay, okay.
Join the club, so do I.
Just because you're not old enough, I see how it is. Young influencers getting into the alpha. I see how it is.
I know, right? You know.
I know. This is the shame in shows. But yes, otherwise I've been a busy boy in the last week. I was on Girls Gone Well on the Saturday last week. We recorded then. That came out on the Monday. And I was on Character Craft on Monday as well. So last weekend was very, very busy, and all those episodes have come out in the last week. So if you want more of me,
Yes.
I'm around the internet. You can go and find me. It's quite easy. Otherwise, a lot of my time's been spent preparing for Season 2 of stories, which will be refreshed with Shadowlands. I've shown Frazley some of the work that we're working on there. It looks cool. And otherwise, I'm just preparing for the charity stream in June as well. So
I mean,
busy week.
How did you get us to look like I'm David Hasselhoff, and you made yourself look like Jason Momoa. How did you get those filters to work like that?
I've got a green screen, Frazley. All it took was me to just like get my head in a right position, and then you sent me that picture of you in your green morph suit, so I could just take off your head, and then, well, it's really just our heads on their bodies, Fraz. It's
Nice!
Movie magic. That's all it is.
Now, am I the? I'm the shirtless Hasselhoff, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, cool.
You'd be Hasselhoff, and I'm Momoa. Clearly.
Exactly.
Clearly. Oh boy. So that's pretty much what we've been up to in Warcraft this week. Something I'd like to talk to Nisey about is how WoW Challenges is going to be looking like when it comes to Shadowlands, because as we know, they're changing the leveling experience so that new players obviously have to go through Exile's Reach, then they'll go through BFA as a main thing. And if you were here at the start of the show, before we actually recorded for the actual podcast version, you would have heard some talk about the Heart of Azeroth and everything else. But then, obviously, for players that already exist, they've got a choice of every expansion. So is there an idea of how the challenges are going to tackle that?
Well, we definitely have a lot of testing to do. Right now, I think we have 2 of our mods that are part of our test team that have gotten into alpha. Mods, it's really Lita. She's more of an admin than a mod. Lita and Chris. So, Chris doesn't have a whole lot of time to play right now either, so it's like, okay. But, the rest of us are trying to get in to do a lot of testing. Lita's been doing a little bit. It does look like you do have to accept quests to get out of, the Exile Island. So that could be a little bit problematic for some of the challenges, like Pacifist and Bloodthirsty.
Well, at least what I noticed is they've added it if you're not in an existing if you're already have been through it on the character, they're now letting you select the your race's original starting zone. Yeah,
so I mean, like if you can have the option to do your original zone, then you should be fine. The ones we really have to look at are going to be like the pandas and stuff. Make sure that they're not just kicking you directly into the new zone. And we're, like I said, we've got a lot of testing to do. To see if you have to do a specific quest to stay in a certain expansion. It's all things that we still have yet to look at. I mean, they're going to be adding more layers into alpha as we go. There's a lot of changes that are going to be coming, so it's still very early alpha. But we will be looking to streamline any rules that need to be streamlined, any adjustments that need to be made. I know Stir and Lita are making a list for each challenge of things that they need to look at in the alpha. And then we all have to sit down and have a meeting and be like, okay, well, let's go through the rules, rule by rule. Is this rule still going to be relevant when the further deeper we get into beta and closer that we get, see if, this rule still applies, or we have to make an adjustment and see if any amendments have to be added to the existing challengers as they are. Because I know when BFA came in, we grandfathered some people in for certain aspects that were going on.
Is there anything that you're looking forward to Shadowlands that you've heard of so far that might be interesting in terms of WoW Challenges type stuff?
I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm looking forward to the level squish itself. It's so long of a road to get to 120 right now, and I think some people tend to get a little bit discouraged when they're newer to the challenges, and that they like die at like 30 or 40, and they're like, oh, 120, I'm not going to do this. But I think when we see the squish come down to 60, I'm excited because I think a lot more people are going to get there, and it won't seem so far out of reach. And I think we're going to have a lot more max level characters for Shadowlands, and I think it's going to be exciting to see how things play out.
Cool. Frazley, you are a man that has attempted the challenge.
Yeah.
Many times and has gained an aversion to spiders, among other things.
Oh, yes. And trogs and kobolds. Yes. And I'm on my 5th tune, and Nisey, you've inspired me to tomorrow night. I'm gonna go on my iron tomorrow night and see how far I can get. But yeah, I've not made it past 26, I believe. So I'm looking
I
forward
think you
to
got
the.
to 28. I think on your iron, your dark iron.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Why did I die there? Because I
Died in Duskwood.
Oh no.
Duskwood, yes, to that more guy that
Oh,
All of them.
Duskwood. No, no, don't go to Duskwood.
yeah, it was a bad idea. And same with Red Ridge. I was heading up,
Oh,
and
see,
all of a
we
sudden,
call Red Ridge affectionately Dead Ridge because if you go too far, you're gonna die. And unfortunately, a lot of the challengers don't believe us when we tell them that to stay out of there after a certain point, especially when you start getting the elite orc quests. Just bail out. I bail out
Oh,
way
yeah.
sooner before then. I do
completely
like
forgot
2
that was the
quests.
thing.
yeah, that was one tip that I also was reading, is that if there's a quest that I don't feel I can do comfortably, just don't do it. And
Yeah, and you know what? Between the buff and the world scaling right now, you don't have to feel like you are forced into a particular zone. You don't like it, go somewhere else.
yeah,
I mean, it's been really, really helpful. But yeah, Duskwood. There we go. I want to call it Darkshire. Darkshire is in Duskwood.
I always do the same thing. Like I get Duskwood and Darkshire completely mixed up all the time.
Yeah, it's like too many D's in there, but just don't go there at all. I've been scarred for life about going into that zone on a challenger now, ever since watching Zort's stream his iron, and someone was doing the DK class hall quests, and the Death Knights in the zone phased in. Everyone could see them. He was sitting there. I don't know what he was doing. He was looking at a map or something, and he started to go up the hill towards where the hermit is, towards the flight plan. And there was a DK sitting there on a horse. And I'm sitting there in the chat, and I'm like, why is there a red nameplate on that player? And before I realized what was going on, and I tried to tell him to back up, I looked up at the screen and he was dead, and it charged him, ran him over. His little like level 20 something or whatever that he was in that zone, it just plowed him down before he even knew what happened, and he was dead.
oh,
And it was just like, oh no, no, because you never know when someone's doing that class all quest now. Like I think an emote or a yell might go out right before they pop up, but it's just not worth it.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Like, you mentioned the elite quests in. Like, I haven't done. There's a lot of zones I haven't touched since leveling in vanilla. In a pre-cataclysm world, and Red Ridge is one of them. I mean, I went and did it once for Lawmaster when they brought in the achievement in a cataclysm world, but it's just like.
Oh yeah.
You go down there on max level to get an achievement, and you just destroy everything, so it's irrelevant. But yeah, no, I can't imagine that in.
Oh yeah,
Like,
some
what
of these
Greys.
mobs hit really hard, and it's not just like specific zones either. There's certain mobs that do a chain lightning spell or just a straight up lightning spell. They hit hard. That did not get squished properly or
There's a lot
scaled
of stuff.
properly.
There's a lot of stuff that just doesn't scale properly.
Yeah, and like 2 hits from one of those lightning spells on an iron and you're dead.
Which is another a case in point to bring up. Like, how did you find the challenges in a pre and a post squish world, like in a scaling world? Sorry.
Post world scaling, you had a little bit more of a definitive line of where you were going to go. Like, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to outlevel this zone, then I'm going to move on to this zone. I can kind of hang here till the quests turn green or turn gray, and I'll be all right. And, I think you could do a little bit more with some of the quests post-world scaling, but you have more quest options at lower levels post-world scaling, like in the world that we have now. So, I mean, if I don't like, the next 3 quests in Azure Mist Isle, I can bail out and be like, okay, well, what other zone is my level? I can go here for like, a level or 2. until I want to go back over there. There's a lot more world traveling now, and you can cherry pick your quests a lot more.
I guess, yeah, there's something for both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
Like, you
I mean,
can...
both had their pros, both had their cons.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the con would be, right now, some of the mobs didn't get squished properly. Don't know if they'll get fixed. We still have an issue with some fur blocks in Grizzly Hills that never got addressed, where they'll one-shot you.
Oh, no. What, the ones in the tree, perchance?
I think it was a specific one that did, like, was it annihilation shot or something? And
God.
it just... boom, one shot in iron, and we were hoping when world scaling came in that would be addressed. No, we tested it. No, don't go there. Don't touch the fur blogs in Grizzly Hills. But you know.
So, how does the rules? So obviously, a part of the base Iron Man is to not use heirlooms and such like that. Yeah. So, obviously, when it comes to Legion, there's the artifact weapons, and with BFA, there's obviously the Heart of Azeroth. So, how do the rules kind of apply to the sort of gimmick power things for the expansion?
So, all of the challenges but Green Man and Bloodthirsty are white and gray gear only. No heirlooms. So when it comes to those that can do the class hall quests, if you're really hell-bent on doing the class hall quests, I mean, you really don't need to now, but I guess if you really, really want to, you can get by with it doing the auto equip on the artifact weapon once, but you must take it off immediately after it gets put on, or right before you turn the quest in where it would auto equip you. You can switch specs and then it shouldn't auto equip you, but that has to come off right away. As far as Heart of Azeroth is concerned, we found out through testing, and some people didn't let us take the time to test before jumping in on their challengers. Right. So when we tested and found out, oh, hey, you can take the boat from the troll village, I think Senjin village, I might be misnaming the village. I don't do Horde side that often. And the boat from Stormwind over there on the Night Off dock to Borealis, you can get there without the necklace. You don't have to touch any of those quests. You can just go there. Like a level 2 can go to Borealis and walk right off the boat. So we decided we're not going to allow the Heart of Azeroth, period. Well, some people went and did it before we made the ruling, so some people got red flagged when we put that in for the rule set. So yeah, give us a chance to test stuff for Shadowlands before jumping in there. And when we say you're good to go, then you can go ahead.
Yeah, but... I don't think... I think, thankfully, there's not going to be any gimmick type stuff. I guess the biggest thing you're going to have to look at is going to be covenants, I guess, more than anything else. But I think have to be not using specific abilities, maybe. But I don't think... I mean, part of the Iron Man stuff is being able to use the power you have to get around the deficit of like lower based gear.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to think outside the box a little bit on how you're going to approach stuff. One of the things that could be a problem is for those that have to go through Exile Island, there is a dungeon to get out. I forgot Lita had mentioned that.
Yes.
That's a problem for us right now as it stands. So I'm hoping that, if you've gone through on a regular, then you can just go to your original starting zone and avoid that altogether, because the only ones that can do a dungeon are your teams. So your iron teams, your blood teams, and your green teams. So
I made a faux pas on one of them that didn't get me blacklisted, and my character died before it could even... But a friend saw I was grouping up and they wanted to group up just for a screenshot. Found out that in the Discord that could potentially flag me. So
yeah,
don't even mess with grouping up people.
You can't group up to take a mage portal either. That will definitely flag you. You have to hoof it on your own. Now, if you are a mage, you can take your own portal. But you can't get around it.
How does stuff like Pathfinder and flying affect stuff? Like, me as a player who has multiple 120s, but if they were going to jump into trying out an Iron Man, because I've got access to all of these account-bound bits and pieces like Pathfinder and bits and pieces, how would that affect someone like me?
Okay, so if you already have the Pathfinder done, don't worry about it. You're good to go. As long as you're not like trying to do the Pathfinder requirements on your Challenger, then you're fine if you have it unlocked on a main. You can use it. All mounts are allowed, all toys are allowed. But toys are used at your own risk, because some toys do have a thing where if you click a sign or something, it counts as a kill on a pacifist, we found out.
Ooh.
So,
Interesting.
yeah, we're like, yeah, so you can. I don't know why you'd be messing with toys on a pacifist, but yeah, like Pathfinder's fine if you have it unlocked on another character. Sometimes flying makes things easier. Sometimes flying opens you up to a whole new set of risks, like Zortz and I found out on our Iron team when we got into Outlands.
I was gonna say the anti-flying stuff that they put into place over all of the opposite faction camps.
Yeah, we were traveling across the zone. I didn't insist on us being on a single two-person mount, and he and I were separate mounted, and we were flying to our next quest turn-in destination, and I said, watch the middle, and because we were on the Alliance side, and there's that big troll encampment in the middle of the zone. I'm like, watch the middle. He was talking, he didn't hear me, and I'm like, dude, I had like yelled at him, and when I yelled, it was too late. He was already falling out of the air and landed on a mushroom dead. And I'm like, right.
He laughs, but he's not even got to Outland yet.
No. I'm saying this sounds like him. I'm just like.
Yeah, that was a painful one because we had gotten into our 60s and we're like,
I can imagine that would be quite the disastrous thing.
Well, see,
Yeah.
Nothing against Zortz. I love Zortz to pieces.
Oh yeah, he's amazing.
He's an interesting teams partner because sometimes he just kind of goes without evaluating something first. And I'm his healer, basically. I'm his pocket healer, so I have to keep Zortz alive. That's my job. So it's a tough job sometimes. Especially, we had an epic fight, and I can't remember if it was on the current iteration of Team Puppet Rides Again. I don't know. I think it was. We were in Shadowlands, and no, not Shadowlands. No.
Shadowlands on the
Shadowlands
brain.
hasn't come out yet. What is it? Ghostlands. I'm sorry. It's all
Right, yeah, Blood
shadowy.
Elves. Yep.
Get my zones confused. So we were over in Ghostlands, and we were trying to do something around the two elite guys, the big Stitches dudes that walk up and down and patrol. And we had to go on this one tower, and then we had to go in the tower across from it. And we were running up to the first tower, and we saw one of the Stitches dudes dead on the ground. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we're like, cool. We go in, we did what we needed to do. We came out, the body was gone. And we're running across the scar to the other tower, and I just happen to have a thought, and I'm like, dude, what's the respawn timer on these guys? I feel like they should, and as soon as I said it, the elite guys respawned right on top of us.
Right on your face.
Yeah. And so Source is like, come in the tower. He's not gonna come in. He didn't come in with me. And I'm like, no. And he's like, yeah. So I came in, I said, dude, he did not drop aggro. He is killing me. So we were arguing back and forth, and then he stepped back too far, and then we had the elite guy and the 4 or 5 mobs inside the tower on us. I have no idea to this day how we lived, because I OOM'd about 2 different times and had no wand, so that was fun. That's on our list to never ever do again.
Stories like that remind me of when I was leveling in vanilla, and I would always get absolutely murdered by the patrol of 5 elites in oh my god, the Highlands just outside of the wetlands. And, as an alliance, you just come out of that little the little gorge, and then there's that patrol of Horde, and they just gank you. Or if you're Horde and you're running through to get to the other side, it's the patrol of the Alliance, and it's just like just stories like that just remind me. It's either that or it's old Western Plaguelands pre-Cataclysm, where you had the postman that had the flanking guards that would always just smack everybody.
Oh yeah. I still do not understand how we got out of that fight, and it was on stream. We did do that live. Afterwards, we were like, our hands were shaking, our arms were shaking. I'm like, I need a minute. I think we decided to stop there for the night because we had already tempted fate once.
Yeah.
We got the quest done, and we're like, let's get the fuck out of here. And it was bad. It was really, really bad. Like, I went into raid healer mode, and I'm just like, shut up, nobody talk. And I'm just like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And then, he was like, saying other stuff. I'm like, no, you're fine. And then I'm like, yeah, we got a problem. I'm almost out of mana. And we still had like 3 mobs left. And I'm like, oh God, this is not going to go well. And I'm like, we're not going to get out of this. And somehow we did by the skin of our teeth. And it was quite the fight. I'm pretty sure it still exists somewhere. I'm sure somebody saved
probably.
that fight.
You might have it saved as like a highlight on your own stream archive.
Yeah,
imagine someone might have clipped it.
It might be on Zortz's because I think we were doing it on his channel. So, yeah, I think somebody clipped it or something. I think it was like 3 clips worth of footage because it was so long, and I was just like, oh my goodness. But we have quite a story to tell now. So
yeah, that's it, isn't it? Oh boy, Jesus, I can't believe we're nearly at an hour already. I think that's a good point to call it. The only other question I would have is that obviously there is, we've talked about your favorite class that you like to level. Do you find there's a favorite race, or is there a passive on a race that you like that's good for challenges?
A couple. So, gnomes are good because they have a baked in slight buff to intellect if you're doing a character that's casting. They also have a slight increase to haste, so that helps tremendously. The Draenei do get a bonus heal to them out of their racials. All racials are allowed, so it's not gonna be like heal you to full incredible, but it might be useful if you're running and you don't have a heal and you're just trying to get out of combat and you're just trying to get a few more seconds squeaked out of there to get out of range, hoping the mob leashes. Also, I do have a new appreciation for the Beast Slayer racial for the trolls. I am running a troll Holy Priest as an experiment to see how high I can get in Bloodthirsty in Holy. And I've gotten as high as 54, but running now on the troll, it's quite a speed increase if you're hitting a lot of rare beasts. Plus, with this buff now running, I think I've got her into her mid-30s, and I am just over a full day's played time. And my other character that's not a troll is several hours more time invested than her. And so I can definitely see a difference in that coming into play later on down the road.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of, beasts are going to be the one thing that is across every single expansion. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely something that's really cool. Brilliant. I guess the only real question I've got to ask is, if people want to have a look up WoW Challenges themselves, what would the website be that they can go to?
So you can go to www.wowchallenges.com for all things WoW Challenges. We also have social media links on the website as well, upper right-hand corner. That'll get you to their Twitch, their Twitter, the Discord links. We do have a Discord community as well. There's forums on our website where you can chat with people. Discord, there's probably more people around that you can ask questions from. I'm one of the mods over there, so I'm usually around till wee hours of the night. And they do a podcast once a week. They broadcast it live on Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern here on their Twitch page. And it's recorded and put out on YouTube the following day and on their website.
Brilliant stuff. And if people want to find you around the internet, Nisey, where could they find you?
I don't know why they would, but if they do,
awesome.
I am in the WoW Challenges Discord. I am Nisey, hashtag, what am I, 4863 over there. I'm on Twitter at NiseyBGN, and I'm also on Twitch, and it's also NiseyBGN. I stream Bloodthirsty Challenge on Wednesdays, Iron Man Challenge on Thursdays, and then on Sundays I usually do an art stream. This week we're doing it tomorrow night.
There you go then. Mr. Frazley-tastic, where can they find you around the internet if they want to go search for your puns and various other things?
Well, I would say go to twitter.com/Frazley-tastic for the puns. And if you want more puns, hit me up for my Facebook because I share even more there. You can find my podcast, Frazlecast, where I talk with different people from our community every week at gnome.podcast.com. And then see me get into weird shenanigans. And oh no, I just realized when I do my next iron, I also have the hot pepper challenge. So hopefully I don't take the hot pepper because I did podcast while doing an iron and that did not work out. But you can find all that at gnome.live.
Brilliant stuff. As always, guys, you can find me on twitter.com/TitansCreed, twitter.com/GamingPhoenix if you don't want to see the random bullshit I put out on a day-to-day basis and just want the YouTube and Twitch links and everything else like that. Otherwise, you can find videos like this podcast in video form on youtube.com/Project Phoenix Productions, as well as other stuff like the Let's Race content and various other things I create. Otherwise, you can find me live over at twitch.tv/Project Phoenix Productions. Thank you very much to Mr. Frazley-tastic as always, and to our guest Nisey, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It was lovely.
Brilliant stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, thank you very much for joining us live. And if you've missed us live, thank you very much for joining us on the cast in some form, one or another. And as always, until the next time, as Mr. Frazley always likes to say,
Be awesome and watch out for spiders.